incredible scenes coming from Dakar, Senegal's fans trooping out to celebrate Senegal's first AFCON title, which they did a couple of days ago in Cameroon. You're welcome to Channel Sport this morning. My name is Tayo Salam. This is what the show looks like. We're starting off with news coming from the Nigeria Football Federation, where Eguavoen is going to stay on as a technical advisor for the World Cup qualifier against Ghana, while Emmanuel Amunike has been drafted in as the immediate assistant. Also on the program, Senegal, like you saw a few seconds ago, they received a hero's welcome after winning the maiden Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon. Congratulations once again to the Teranga Lions. Also on the program, this time around, still talking about fallout from the AFCON. Nigerian players have been snubbed in the AFCON team of the tournament. In the best 11 and in the substitute, no Nigerian player made the court. So this is what the show looks like. Of course, there's still much more to come. You're going to get updates coming from the Premier League. It's back. You're also going to get updates from the English Premier League as well as the NBA. I beg your pardon. So try and stick with us for the next 55 minutes or thereabouts. I am flying solo, as you can see, but then I'm going to be joined by Damilola Onifade. He's going to be joining me, and we're going to be analyzing everything that went down yesterday in the world of sports, especially as it concerns the new technical crew for the Super Eagles of Nigeria ahead of that crucial World Cup qualifier against Ghana in March. It's just around the corner. Damilola, good morning. It's great to have you on the show. What's up?
Good morning. How are you doing? Been a while.
Yeah, I know it's been a minute. I wonder where you've been.
I've been around, watching the Super Eagles, enjoying what we did, at least in the first 3 games of the AFCON.
Fair enough.
Everything just went
without a plan. Yeah, I know, quite disappointing ending for Nigeria at the AFCON after doing so well in the group stage. We're going to come back to Nigeria much later on the show, but let's start first of all with the pictures you saw just a couple of minutes ago. Senegal arriving to a hero's welcome in Dakar after winning their first Africa Cup of Nations. Look at this crowd, thousands of people on the streets of Dakar to welcome their heroes.
I tell you, what I'm looking at is quite beautiful. And it says a lot about the power of sport, and specifically football. Sometimes you look at this crowd and you wonder, what does this mean to the average Senegalese? Does it even impact their individual pockets, like we usually ask in this part? But then there's something also called national pride, and that's what you see at stake. You see a group of people that are proud of what their nation has achieved. They are proud of the fact that for over 60 years they've chased this title, and now they have the right, not that it is a gift, they have to work for it, and now they can boast that they are African champions. And hopefully they will try to defend it in 2 years' time. But at least as far as the next 2 years is concerned, the best football playing nation on the continent of Africa is Senegal, whether you like it or not.
Yes, I mean, if you look at the rankings, they're number 1. They're African champions as well. So undisputed, they are the best team when it comes to football on the continent. And I'm just seeing that crowd again is just incredible. I mean, we're still in a pandemic, sort of. To see all of those people come out, you can see clearly most of them disregarding COVID protocols just to celebrate this historic moment for the country. Not only were they received by the fans, Dami, you're going to see pictures as well coming from the presidential palace where they were received by President Macky Sall as well too. And it just shows you, like you've said as well, to the power of football, how Africans or most people generally are passionate about the beautiful game.
Yeah, it says a lot, and I hope this sends a message, not just to the Senegalese, but to the entirety of the continent, that sometimes when you mismanage the sport, particularly football, it has a way of affecting people. Imagine what the disappointment will be if Senegal has lost this final again, as they've done in the past. It will have been a very devastating one, not just for the players, not just for the Football Federation, but of course to the generality of the man and the woman on the street of Dakar and other cities in Senegal. And I must say that commendation should go to the Senegalese government. I love the way they've swiftly welcomed the players, and there is no crisis around it, whether Mane will be going to Senegal, is going to Liverpool, or whether this player, Koulibaly, will be going to Naples first or before coming to Dakar. Everything has been so managed in a way that these players deserve the, 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 the attention they are being given, and the government, the president particularly, have given them their due position as heroes of the nation.
Yeah.
And for me, that should send the message that football is beyond the sport. It's a tool of PR, it's a tool of unity. And if it's well used, we can use it to turn around certain situations that we consider unpalatable.
Indeed, you're spot on, Diamond. We're seeing pictures of the president as well as the captain, Kalidou Koulibaly, as well as Sadio Mane, who ended up scoring the decisive sports kick. You can't forget Aliou Cisse as well, too. He's been on the saddle for about 8 years now, and finally he's gotten over the line after a couple of previous heartbreaks. What can you say about this Senegal side that we don't know already?
Well, the only thing you could say at this tournament is that there are two sides to this team that we saw. We saw a team with a lot of character, and that also comes, of course, with experience. The bulk of these players were at the last tournament when they had a very good start and got to the final. And to some people, they were most people's favorite, but eventually they lost to Algeria. I must say that Algeria were better on the day. But then they came in 3 years later. They knew what they had to do. They didn't panic. They didn't have a great start
No.
compared to the Super Eagles. They didn't have a great start. In fact, many had thought that Senegal will probably not go beyond the quarterfinals. But then they picked it up on the knockout stage. And that is what matters. They got what they needed. They did enough to qualify from the group stage as poor as their performances were to get. They knew that what matters at that point is just to qualify. And they did. At the knockout stage, they didn't falter at any point. They got what the job done. And at the final, you could also see, even when they had a better play, but they could not get the goal, they ensured that they were never out of contending for that title at any point.
Yeah.
And I think that comes with experience, that comes with exposure of the players, and that also comes with the unity, the bond in the team that has been created over the last 8 years by the coach. Having the
Yeah.
same technical coach also have his own benefit. But again, I'm also not saying that you should retain a coach for 8 years if there is no progress.
Yeah.
With Aliou Cisse, the point has to be made. Yes, it took him 8 years to win a title, but there were progress within that period. And that's the only yardstick why I think he was left in that position. They've been to the World Cup under him. They were at the final of the last AFCON under him. And so there is progress, and there is a reason to keep him in that position. When you keep a man without any reason, then you're preparing for a disaster.
I think you've made a very good point right there. Clear progress under Aliou Cisse. I mentioned it earlier as well, too. They've been top of the FIFA rankings when it comes to Africa for the last couple of years as well, too. They've been to the final in 2019 in Egypt. So it's clearly been doing something right. They just needed to get over the line, and it's panned out to be in Cameroon. So congratulations to Aliou Cisse, definitely winning that historic AFCON for Senegal after missing out in 2002 as a player. I remember he actually missed a penalty in that decisive final as well, too. And what more can we say? Congratulations to Senegal and Kalidou Koulibaly and Sadio Mane and all of the other unsung heroes in the side. I mean, you mentioned the camaraderie in the side as well, the unity. We saw it during the celebrations after they won that AFCON. So even players that weren't part of the starting lineup, players that weren't featuring regularly, they were all part of the celebrations because they understand what it means for the country to finally win this tournament after losing 2 previous finals.
Yeah, it's important. You see, when you talk about a team, it goes beyond just the ability of the individual player. A lot of things come into a tournament like this. There are times when you are at the edge and some players just come as the leaders in the team. They might not necessarily be the superstar. They might not be the Mane. They might not be the Eduardo Mendy. They might not even be the captain of the side. But they have that influence over their mates to ensure that the focus is maintained. I mean, we've heard so many stories of players playing those roles. And those things don't come when you keep chopping and changing your players at will. There must be some focus at some point that this is the direction we want to go, and these are the players that will deliver. And there will be trying periods. There will be difficult periods. You must have the strength, the will to keep them together, give them the necessary time to learn. I'm trying not to mention the Super Eagles, but of course you understand
we're going to come to
where I'm going. Really, you can't discard players because of one error. I mean, but Senegal have had their own moment of little glitches here and there, and they just couldn't cross the line. But you see, all that came together to strengthen this side and prepare them for this moment of glory. I hope we will also be as patient as that with some of our players, with some of our coaches, and then administrators, we will put the interest, the larger interest of the country ahead of their own individual interest.
You're spot on and talking about character. I think one player that typifies that trait is Sadio Mane. After missing in regulation time, could have easily shied away from the decisive sports kick now, but he didn't do that. He stepped up and won the cup for Senegal, and that's why he's been named the player of the tournament. Let's take a look at the team of the tournament. It's now been announced. I said it at the start of the show that no Nigerian players made it. I'm not surprised by that because there's so many high-performing players at the AFCON. Let's start with the goalkeeper. Is Edouard Mendy. That's pretty much straightforward. Or do you agree, or do you have a different opinion on that one?
For the team of the tournament, of course, because they won it, you probably want to give him. Yesterday, I spoke somewhere that I think the basket, the Egyptian coach, probably should have gotten it. But again, he got his own due credit as the man of the match for the final. Because he didn't win, I think it would be nice to go with Eduardo. I mean, he's the winner. The winning goalkeeper definitely should get the award.
Yeah, spot on. I agree with you on Edouard Mendy. Let's go to the right back. Is Achraf Hakimi.
Well, I think Achraf Hakimi had a good tournament. But of course, the Moroccans still had a disappointing tournament by what I expect and the stars in that team. So I'm trying to see if there's any number two that played better. If the Super Eagles had gone a bit further, maybe I would have said Olaina should have a mention. But unfortunately, we didn't go further than the second round. So
not enough.
It's okay.
Not enough. All right, let me just run through the remaining best 11. There's Mohamed Abdelmonem of Egypt is also on that list. There's also Edmond Tapsoba of Burkina Faso. There's Saliou Ciss of Senegal. Nan plays Mendy of Senegal as well. There's also Mohamed El Neni of Egypt. Blati Toure, of course, had a fantastic tournament for Burkina Faso. There's also Mohamed Salah of Egypt. Vincent Aboubakar, the top scorer, with 8 goals, of course, representing Cameroon, and Sadio Mane. And for the substitutes, you have Andre Onana from Cameroon, Collins Faye, Cameroon as well, to Kalilou Koulibaly. I was expecting to see him in the starting lineup because I thought it was very, very influential, very colossal for Senegal in their triumph. There's also Mahmoud Hamdi, Egypt, Ahmed Abo of Egypt as well, too. Andre Anguissa Zambo of Cameroon, deserved mention, definitely. Yusuf Changama, yes, I remember that guy from the Comoros, had a fantastic decent tournament, even though Comoros didn't go past the second round. Bertrand Traore, Sofiane Boufal of Morocco, Toko Ekambi of Cameroon, and Famara Diédou of Senegal. So those are your best 11 and substitutes for the African Cup of Nations. No Nigerian player made this list, unfortunately. All right, so that's it. Okay, your final word on this one, final thoughts.
I think the only part I disagree with, I will pick the Egyptian goalkeeper, Gabasca, ahead of Onana. That I will do. If he's not the goalkeeper of the tournament, then he must be the substitute. I don't know why they picked Onana, maybe because of the host nation. Cameroon were almost out of... If Burkina Faso knew anything they were doing on that day, Cameroon shouldn't have even...
They shouldn't have lost that one,
at all. So I think that's the only area where I have my disagreement.
I agree with you, Dami. You know, one thing about this kind of list is it's always going to be contentious. It's never going to be perfect. Well, I agree. Gabaski definitely should have got a mention in the AFCON team of the tournament, whether as a starter or as a substitute. All right, before we leave the AFCON finally, NFF President Amaju Pinnick has been reacting to the tournament. He's been rating it pretty much, and we're going to listen to how he assesses the competition and what's being done to make the topmost football competition in Africa get better going into Cote d'Ivoire 2023.
Yeah, it's been a very good testimony about the content testimony regarding the quality of players that we have in the continent. Organization, everything. We are very happy, you know. But there are a lot of things that we need to change going to Cote d'Ivoire. There are a lot of things, even the president said clearly that we are not going to accept. And we're not going to mention it. We want to commend the government of Cameroon for doing everything humanly and materially possible for this tournament to hold after all. So we are very happy about it. My assessment is that the quality of the tournament has been very, very high, has been extremely high. And it brings to the credence that we now know that there are no minions in football. Look at Gambia, look at Comoros, you know, Sierra Leone, you know, Malawi, Zimbabwe, you know. But we're happy that football is growing in Africa. So taking it to the next level is what the president of CAF is doing now.
Amaju Pinnick, president of the Nigeria Football Federation, rating the AFCON fairly highly, but then there's work to be done going into the next edition in Cote d'Ivoire. That's just next year. We need to go on a break right about now. When we come back, Dami is still with me. We're going to be focusing on the Super Eagles of Nigeria. There's a World Cup qualifier coming up next month, a very crucial two-legged affair against the Black Stars of Ghana. It's going to be war, obviously. And we have updates coming from the NFF as regards who's going to be leading Nigeria to, you know, in that game against the Black Stars. So you're going to get details of this and more after this break. You're welcome back to Channel Sport this morning. You can be a part of the show by talking to us on channels_sports. You can also send your email to sportthismorning@channelstv.com. What do you make of the decision of the NFF to stick with Augustine Eguavoen as a coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria for the World Cup qualifier against Ghana? What do you also make of the drafting in of Emmanuel Amunike to serve as his assistant for that crucial game against the Black Stars? Let us know your thoughts, and I'll try as much as possible to take it before the show is over. Sport This Morning at channelstv.com, as well as channels_sports. That's our Twitter handle. Let's get on with the show now, and let's give you the updates coming from the NFF concerning the Super Eagles coaching crew. Like I said at the start of the show, the NFF has now confirmed the reconstitution of the technical crew of the Super Eagles, with Augustine Eguavoen staying as interim technical advisor, while former World Cup star and under-20 head coach Emmanuel Amunike is being drafted in as his immediate assistant. We're going to take, those pictures are coming right there from Cameroon when Emmanuel Amunike went to visit the team. Little did he know that he was going to have a job to do after the tournament. We'll take the statements coming from the NFF now before I get the thoughts of Damilola right there via Zoom. Let's take the statements coming from the General Secretary. I'm talking about Mohamed Sanusi. He says that we acknowledge and appreciate the interest that Mr. Jose Pesero has shown in Nigerian football during our very cordial discussions, and have absolutely no doubt about his capacity. We believe that perhaps in future there could be an opportunity to work with him. However, in view of the positive performance of the Super Eagles at the AFCON, which has given hope to Nigerians and boosted our confidence in presenting a coaching crew to qualify us for the World Cup in Qatar, we have decided to accept the recommendation of the Technical and Development Committee to retain the Eguavoen-led coaching crew and strengthen it with the addition of Emmanuel Amunike. That's word coming out from Dr. Mohamed Sanusi, the NFF Secretary General. So, Dami, I'm coming back to you straight away. What do you make of all of this? I mean, it's been, in the works for a while now. We've been hearing stories that Eguavoen might actually stay on for the World Cup qualifier. And it's now been confirmed by the NFF, but with a twist, with the addition of Emmanuel Amunike.
Yeah, well, I think it's the way to go. I don't think any other coach will have done a better job than Eguavoen would do. When Eguavoen was appointed as the interim coach, and the NFF then came up to say that after the Nations Cup would have a Pesero or any other person taking over, I felt it was the wrong move. And the reason is quite simple. If we are ready to sacrifice the Nations Cup, which at that time was the tone of coming out from the NFF, before we started playing well at the Nations Cup, at least for the first 3 games, was that we were ready to sacrifice the Nations Cup to get a coach that will have worked with the players at least with a minimum of 3 matches in the group stage and get to know them leading up to the qualifier. So there was really no need in the first place not to have given the job of the man that will play the playoff, the job of taking us to the AFCON. So I think maybe on second thought, they are thinking otherwise, and I think it's the way to go. But there are a few things in that statement from Dr. Salisu that I make me cringe a little.
Okay,
the first one
go
was
ahead.
trying to make it look like it was Pesero that showed interest in the Nigerian job. Yes, maybe he showed interest, but let's not change the fact that the NFF also went for him. The name Jose Mourinho was being bandied around as the one who recommended it. So it wasn't a case of Pesero just showing interest. The NFF went for him. Something happened in the course of that, and that's why he's not coming on. But that's one. Secondly, is the fact that, yes, Amunike is with the Super Eagles, but then some other coaches have also been dropped. Paul Eguavoen is no longer there. Dr. Terry is also no longer in the new list that has been put out. I know the Amunike angle is drawing much more traction. But then it calls to question on what times that this coach is working, because we don't know the terms of Amunike's contract. The only one that we are clear of is that Eguavoen is still an interim coach. And I want to believe that the thinking behind that is that NFF still sees him more as the technical director of the NFF.
Okay.
Probably after the playoffs or after the after the World Cup, he will go back to that position and Amunike will then take over. Because you see, for me, I don't know why we do these things in such a secretive manner. There is nothing wrong in coming out to tell us that Eguavoen, because he's the one that went to the AFCON, is just ideal for him to keep leading the team, at least up until the end of the World Cup. And then Amunike will take over. I think it's better, so that we don't create another crisis when after the World Cup, it's not like the Super Eagles does not have a coach again. We should know these things. That for me is the position. So Amunike also knows that what he's preparing for. He's not looking at the players from the viewpoint that after December, after the World Cup, he will be taking over the team. And if that's not the case, make it clear from the get-go. I think we cause a lot of confusion by making statements that seems we are talking and yet we are not saying anything.
I see where you're coming from, Dami. And I think it's a sensible decision. If you look at the timing, I think it all boils down to timing. There's really no time to start changing the head of the technical crew with barely a month to a crucial game against Ghana. So it's a sensible decision. But then if you look at the statements coming from the NFF, they've also, it appears that the technical advisory role is still going to be vacant after the World Cup qualifier, which makes me feel and think that this is just an issue of timing rather than getting the absolute best for the country. Just before the AFCON, the Pesero situation was announced, and I'm sure you heard the NFF President wax so lyrical about Pesero. So from the AFCON to right now, what has changed? And just a couple of days ago as well, so the NFF President talked about situations being beyond their control. I'm sure you heard that particular interview coming from the NFF as well. So it just tells me like there's a lot going on that we're not sure about, but we have a very good idea of it.
I think what is clear, again, I repeat that the NFF seems to be handling their communication from a perspective of everything just have to be secretive. That's what I see. One thing is clear. There is no way you'll have had an uptight, tidy arrangement with Peseru and he would not take over the Super Eagles. Because we were also told before the AFCON that it would be in Cameroon, but he never showed up.
Yeah.
Which means that the NFF we're in a hurry to announce that they've engaged Peseru when the agreement has not been firmed up. And I believe that's what the situation is. As at the time they made the announcement, no contract has been signed. Till date, we know that he had not put pen to any paper as the coach of the Super Eagles. So it's a case of conversations we are still on. As at the time the NFF told us they have appointed him. And at some point, the discussion stopped. And so we have to move forward. But we are moving forward.
Yeah.
You have given the job to Eguavoen. My point is Eguavoen, if it's an interim coach, the interim capacity lapse when? Is it that if we qualify for the World Cup, Eguavoen will continue as interim until after the World Cup? Or after March, if we qualify, Eguavoen will hesitate for another coach? We need to know. That's the kind of conversation I think. There is no question about the fact that we will not have any other coach until March. Eguavoen would prosecute those games. But if we qualify, will Eguavoen still be there to take us to the World Cup? Or will he be there until after the playoff and then Amunike will take over? And you mentioned the issue of it is like there is still that space for a technical
It is there. That's why it's interim.
Does it mean that we are creating the Amadou Shuaibu situation again? That a Nigerian can qualify us for the World Cup and then suddenly we'll bring another coach that will now go to the World Cup? Those are the kind of things I think the NFF has to be clear about. I mean, let people know from the World Cup. I'm not saying the coaches probably do not know what is happening, but Nigerians deserve to know. We saw what just happened in Senegal. It's not just the hair people that are celebrating the win of the team. It's the whole country. So this is the Super Eagles of Nigeria, not the Super Eagles of the NFF.
Dami, before we leave this matter of the Super Eagles, let me ask you about the two prominent coaches on this technical crew, Augustin Eguavoen and Emmanuel Amunike from the antecedents. How do you see this power dynamic working for the Super Eagles, of course, in a positive way, that's in terms of qualifying for the World Cup?
Do
you anticipate any problems?
I'm counting on the relationship they've had as teammates. As probably the only reason why there shouldn't be any problem, honestly speaking. Because Amunike had gone way ahead to the point that he has taken the nation Tanzania to an AFCON. So he is a top coach in his own right.
Yeah.
So to have agreed to work as assistant to Eguavoen, I believe certain levels of conversation must have been had in terms of their working relationship. And if they are both okay with it, we can only wish them all the best. I believe they are friends, maybe not friends that call themselves everything, but they were hair teammates. And I think that relationship should count for something. And for the interest of the nation, I would just expect that the both should handle things maturely. We know that really these two guys are gentlemen. They both do not come across as controversial individuals.
Yeah.
And I think that should still work. I don't envisage any problem. I mean, we've had Amokachi as assistant to the late Stephen Keshi, and we never had any, at least no known big issue while they were working together.
Yeah,
so I think we will. And I'm actually happy. I think they are both good coaches. They are both good coaches, and we've seen what Amunike had done with the under-17s, and good enough. A decent number of the players he worked with as assistant to Manu Garuba, and even when he was at the M, are in this present Super Eagles. And so maybe whatever Eguavoen does not understand about the individual personality of the players, Amunike will probably do a good job in that regard.
All right, so hopefully it's a winning combination for Nigeria as they try to qualify for the World Cup in Qatar later in the year. Dami, I want to thank you for being a part of the show. Appreciate it. Hopefully we can get you in the studio very soon.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
Thanks, Dami. All right, so that's it for the Super Eagles. In case you're just joining the show, Augustin Eguavoen is going to remain in charge of the team for the World Cup qualifier against Ghana. He will be assisted by Emmanuel Amunike. The second assistant remains Salisu Yusuf, while the third assistant is Joseph Yobo. Aloy Agu remains the goalkeeper trainer, so wish the team all the best as they aim to qualify Nigeria for the World Cup in Qatar. We need to go on a short timeout. When we come back, basketball is going to get us talking.
And you know, Lagos is a big thing. You will see that the jump ball and the first possession of the game, the chief, looking for just the most fast shot of the game. He had 20 fouls. Teranga
You're welcome back to Channel Sport this morning. We're now 3 in the studio. As you can see, I'm now being joined from my immediate right or left is Hansen Oguchi, who's the president of the Crown Elite Basketball Championship, just concluded over the weekend. Rivers Hoopers, surprise, surprise, won that competition. And further to my left is Louis Eden. He's the director of the championship, both retired professional basketball players. Good morning, guys. It's great to have you on the show.
Good morning. Thank you.
Fantastic. So we're just going to dive straight into the matter. Over the weekend, we saw, last week actually, going into the weekend, we saw about 8 teams compete in the Crown Elite Basketball Championship. And it went down to the matchup between Rivers Hoopers and Unilag. At the end of it all, it was a very competitive, very exciting final. But Rivers Hoopers, once again, are showing their superiority.
Yeah. And once more, thank you for having us. The last week's final was very exciting. Crown Elite Sports, we organized this Crown Elite Basketball Championship to showcase talents in Nigeria, both the clubs that are in Nigeria, the best teams in Nigeria, and the best players too. We selected like the best teams in the Premier League and the Nigerian University Games.
Okay.
So that's why we have University of Lagos.
Yeah.
We have River Hoopers that won the last Premier League basketball. And it was very, very competitive. The interesting thing about this year's tournament is that you couldn't predict who was going to win. And
Are you sure about that?
No, you couldn't
I mean,
really
I said it
predict.
was going to be Rivers, and they ended up winning. It didn't even take me much effort to do that.
It was very close, though. If you watch the final
It
of the
was, yes.
event, it
Yes,
was
it
just
was.
up and down. The University of Lagos team put a very good fight. I mean, Eguavoen Comets that won last year didn't even make it to the semi-finals.
Okay.
So it was very competitive. You couldn't really tell to the final.
Yeah.
They lost their first game. River Hoppers lost their first game.
Yeah.
And I think that was helpful for them in like
Okay.
knowing that this is not just a pushover.
True.
And they stepped up and they won the championship.
You're spot on. I see where you're coming from. Let me come to you, Luis. Of course, you've been following basketball on the local scene. Not great news for the past 4 years now. We've not had a proper league. And that's why it's important for competitions like this so these basketball players can play and continue to develop their skill sets.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we organize this type of championships, you know, to develop basketball and, you know, to get the kids engaged and also to be able to develop their skills, life skills outside of basketball, you know, mentorship programs and stuff like that. So
Awesome.
hopefully the basketball situation in Nigeria resolves and
Yeah.
we're able to have a league like we used to have before.
We've been hoping for the past 4 years now. Nothing seems to be happening. As a matter of fact, it looks like keep going from bad to worse. Obviously, we saw you know, prizes doled out to the winners. What else for the winners of the competition? Any other prizes for them apart from the cash donations?
I mean, the cash donation, we just the cash donations was merely to inspire the players and to make them have something to play for.
Right.
But most importantly, we always have a youth mentorship section before any tournament. So we had a tournament. We have all the players. We had ex-professionals and businessmen and reputable people, you know, in society come speak to them and chat to them about life, about basketball. So that's what we started with. In addition to winning this championship, we're inviting them to an international tour in the US.
Okay.
Yeah, working on that. Currently, sports have done 2 of those tours before, but it was on the secondary school level.
All right.
Like we had a tour to, I think, Harvard University, another one to University of Illinois in Chicago,
Right.
where we do basketball and we do some college tour to inspire them not only to play basketball, but to inspire them to want to go to colleges in the US or in Nigeria. Our goal is not to export players annually. Our goal is to strengthen basketball in Nigeria and empower the athletes, however it may be. Maybe they play here in Nigeria, maybe they aspire to go to University of Lagos or Ahmadu Bello University or University of Port Harcourt, or they want to go to the US. In any case, we want to make sure we empower them to be able to make decisions and make them reach their heights in their careers.
And give them the platform to do all of that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, back to you, Luis. Did you spot any new talents? I mean, I know some of the players that play for Rivers Hoopers already. Do you spot any new talents now? For example, Unilag did fantastically well to get all the way to the final, and they're just a uni team.
Yeah, and in this type of tournament, you always see new talents. You know, I actually saw some new talents in different teams that we did not see last year. So it was very exciting. You know, it shows that, you know, basketball is growing, you know, and we need to do more, you know, so that these guys can have an avenue to showcase this type of talents.
Yeah, you're spot on, and it's good to see private individuals, ex-players with this kind of initiatives to help the game continue to grow. Lumide Odeji has been retired for a long time now, but his presence is still being felt in terms of helping grow the game of basketball. But from your experience, you've played the game to the highest level. What would you tell the administrators? I don't want to believe they don't know what to do, but what's your message going to be to them so Nigeria can get to that level where it's supposed to be, considering the talents that we have? Starting with you. Okay, let's start with you, Lewis.
I'm just going to say folks should abandon any personal agendas and focus on the athletes, you know.
Personal agendas.
Yeah, and focus on the athletes, you know. Whoever comes out as the president of the NBBF, you know, there's been a couple of elections.
2 elections, come on.
But whoever is the president, we're going to work with them. We're not taking any sides. Or we don't belong to any factions.
Right.
We're just here to develop basketball, and our focus is on the athletes.
No politics for you guys.
Politics.
Yeah, in addition, I think we all have to understand, basketball stakeholders and people in administrating basketball, and you have to understand that the development of the sport should not be left to the NBBF or any government body, just like it's in any part of the world, you know. The NBBF as an organization should focus on creating an enabling environment for stakeholders to come in and develop the game, to give you oversight to that. And they shouldn't take all the responsibility. I think we've worked with them in the past and we'll be able to achieve, work with them cordially to achieve. And anybody that comes out to support basketball that's interested in developing the athletes, we'll work with them. So we're just welcoming everybody to come join. Let's work this basketball together and keep all that thing and settle this issue going on.
All right, it's very important the leadership of the NBBF is right, so the game can continue to grow in the country. We need to go on a break as the last time out. We'll come back, we'll still be talking basketball. We're going to the NBA as well too. Of course, we've got basketballers in the house, so they'll be helping me analyze the games that were played last night and this morning. Join us again. Welcome back to Channel Sport this morning. Let's take a look at the games played in the NBA last night and this morning. We have the results for you before we focus on our feature games. 5 games in total went down, starting with Toronto Raptors with a 116-101 victory over the Charlotte Hornets. Pascal Siakam, 24 points and 11 rebounds, as well as 8 assists in that victory for the Raptors. They've now won 6 in a row. Elsewhere, the Miami Heat, they're the Eastern Conference leaders. They defeated the Washington Wizards 121-100. Bam Adebayo, 21 points. Gabe Vincent, we know him as Nnamdi in this part, scored 16 points off the bench for Miami in that victory. Let's move on to the Bulls and the Suns. That was the best team in the West, or best team in the NBA, taking on one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. But it ended up being a 127-124 victory for Phoenix. Devin Booker with 38 points in that victory. That was our feature game, so we'll come back to it shortly. The Warriors were in action against the OKC Thunder. It ended 110-98 in favor of Golden State. And in his 12th game back from injury, Klay Thompson finished with 21 points in that victory. Golden State are now on a 9-game winning streak. Last but not the least is the Knicks against the Utah Jazz. That match ended up in favor of Utah. Donovan Mitchell with 32 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists in a 113-104 victory over the New York Knicks. All right, so those are the results for you coming from the NBA. We're going to focus quickly now on the Phoenix Suns and the Chicago Bulls as a feature match for the show. And I'll come to you, Luis. Phoenix Suns, after getting to the finals of the NBA last year, they're showing that it's not a fluke this time around. The best team in the NBA right now, and they're looking good again for another deep run in the playoffs. Yeah,
they have a very experienced point guard in Chris Paul.
Right.
And is the machine of the team, and they have an assassin in Devin Booker.
Assassin.
So, you know, the Greek freak was too much for them last year.
Too much, yeah.
You know, so but this year, the way they're playing, you know, they might pull it off, even though Golden State is going to be a challenge.
I agree. Golden State definitely we're witnessing a resurgence, especially with the coming back of Klay Thompson. You mentioned the 2 star players for the Suns already. Devin Booker finished with 38 points. Chris Paul, 19 points and 11 assists. We're going to get the post-game thoughts of these 2 players. I will come back for more on Sport this morning.
I mean, just playing within the offense. You know, I understand that, you know, how our team is built, that there's going to be, you know, opportunities to score at all time. You know, I've been in this system for a minute now, and, you know, there's no reason to force anything. We have, to me, talented players out there that, you know, we're going to cause help. You know, you have Chris dissecting the defense. You have Mikal catching the ball and going. Jay is a playmaker out there too. So, you know, there's no need to force.
Just that it was Jay. On another night, you might ask me that question. It could be Mikal. Another night, it could be Cam. You know what I mean? So I think with our team, it's just that we always so balanced. You know what I mean? And we take the best available shot and not just any shot.
Chris Paul, Devin Booker reacting to their 127-124 victory over the Chicago Bulls. 127, they've now won 43 games this season. They're by far the team with the best record in the NBA, just 10 losses. Let's focus quickly on Chicago. We're seeing a resurgence with Chicago as well, too. With the way they're playing, it looks like they'll be making the playoffs for the first time in a very long time. They were led in this game by Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, 38 points and 32 points for those two players. Let's get their post-game reactions.
We gave in a lot to their defense, of them just loading in on us and us selling, not attacking, not trying to put them in rotations, and that led us to not getting, open shots and the amount of assists that we've been accustomed to getting. We started to figure out later in the game, but we can't wait till we down 20 to try to make something happen.
I mean, we got to have a certain urgency and competitiveness regardless who's on the floor. And, we do once we get down, or we have to continue to get back into the game. So with those guys out, we're not going to have the strongest defense because that's what they do, but we still have to have the same system and the same competitiveness without them, because we're going to be without them, like you said, for a while, and we got to hold the ship.
Yes, got to hold the ship until the other players are returned from injury. Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan playing with a chip on his shoulder because of what has happened in the last couple of years, being traded by Toronto, didn't do too well at San Antonio, but has been playing out of his skin this season. Those two players, do you think they were enough to get Chicago to go deep in the playoffs?
Yes, I think so. They have a very young team.
Yeah.
They're playing good defense this year. And the experience that DeMar brings to the team, in scoring and facilitating the offense is. I think they might make a deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah, after a long time, Chicago is really showing some promises this time. I lived in Chicago for about 5 years.
There you go.
I'm happy to see them coming up and doing something good in basketball.
Indeed, we'll see if they can go all the way in the Western Conference. Let's take a look at the top performers coming from the games that were played. These games that we just talked about, the top performers are starting with Donovan Mitchell of the Utah Jazz, 32 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 assists. So it's just pretty much continued from where he left off before suffering that terrible injury. Devin Booker, of course, making this list once again, 38 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists, while DeMar DeRozan finished with 38, 5, and 4. Unfortunately, it was in a losing efforts. Guys, what's going on with the Lakers? Why the Lakers are floundering after putting together that incredible roster at the start of the season?
They got an old team.
Old?
Yeah, they got an old team. There were concerns that people were expressing before the start of the season. Their average age is 30 or 29. You know, so but you cannot count out LeBron. I've seen him over the years perform miracles in the playoffs. So if they can get a spot in the playoff and LeBron is healthy, you cannot count them out.
Wow, how about you?
Yeah, I think they're a great team. They say they're old, but they have a lot of experience and a lot of players there that I've seen that have played in the finals and won lots of medals. So you can't count that out. Once they get to the playoff, I think it's going to be a different ball game.
I think I see where you're coming from. When you have the king in the team, they've got a chance definitely going forward. But first things first, they've got to make the playoffs. So we'll see how it pans out. Good for them. LeBron James is back playing as well. So, of course, he made a winning return with a triple-double in the last victory. Before we close the show, guys, final word, looking ahead to the next Crown Elite Championship, which is going to be next year. Do you have a date for that? And what are the plans for that one?
We hope the next one will be bigger. We're hoping to get partnerships so that we can expand it a little. We're trying to get more female teams involved with the championship. Right. This year we had the female All-Star Games. That was very exciting.
I like that,
we also have a lot of female fans like hitting buzzer jackpot shots from the center court.
Yeah, I saw that.
A lot of fans were just hitting those shots. We see those talents, so we're trying to expand on that. We're looking for more partnership, and we're just going to keep trying to get it in the first quarter of next year. We're trying to see whether the NBB will have a steady schedule so that we can use that to work out time that will work for the championship. Awesome. We're excited to come back next year. We can't wait.
Can't wait. Yeah. So I imagine the basketballers can't wait as well. So your last word, Louis.
Yeah, just like you said, we would continue to build. Last year was the first one. Yeah. It went well. We went back to the States. you know, put together what we wanted to do this year. And as you can see, you know, this year's was better than last year.
Yeah.
So we'll just continue to build off of our success and try to expand and welcome sponsors, you know,
as well.
That would, you know, like enable us, you know, expand and, you know, do more things.
Yeah. Bigger things,
yeah.
in the offing for Nigerian basketball, courtesy the Crown Elites Championship. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Asin and Louis. Before we go, let's take a look at the papers. And I'm going to take sports in life. And of course, there's a story concerning Victor Osimhen, Coach Spalletti Luciano saying, warning Victor Osimhen, stopping him from dribbling, and I don't know what that means really. Eguavoen remains interim Super Eagles manager. That's the main story being on the headlines of all of these papers this morning. I want to thank you for watching and being a part of the program. Enjoy the rest of your day. I am Tayo Salam.